Yeah, I mean the brood pick is really strange to me. It is like you said, good against everyone here that isn't the Mars, but Mars is, in my opinion, the best hero in the game at dealing with brood mother. So it is a little bit strange that they pick it anyway. I mean that is some serious confidence coming out of Moo to do that. The if you're Beast Coast though, you just put Mars in the Broodmother lane, like right, like you don't bother putting the Faceless Void there. He's not really going to do that well. You should just stand the Mars, follow the Broodmother around the map, and then play aggressively with the other heroes. But if you do that, you're still definitely playing into 4 Zoomers because they get to pick that favorable matchup against the Faceless Void anyway. So they're gonna get rid of the Gyrocopter. They get rid of Batrider.
Yeah, and it does make sense. Unfortunately, now for Zoomers, this is something that, again, for Zoomers, it's a little bit of a problem with their drafting style where it's very apparent what they actually want. It's very easy to ban out because it's very telegraphed who is playing what on the for Zoomer side right now. You could probably call it each hero a player combination right off the bat with this last pick, Broodmother, but at the same time, while the Mars is very adept at handling it, they might want to lane the Faceless Void just because there isn't that much damage coming out. While Tusk Broodmother is slightly annoying, I feel like the Hoodwinked is actually going to be able to play pretty well versus it. And as long as the Mars gets something, we might see this Mars end up going mid. We're going to have to wait until the last pick, something that Beast Coast has set themselves up for, where we don't know what their last hero is going to be because we have seen South America pull out this mid Mars several times, especially versus the TA, because you get that Orb of Corrosion early, you put a little bit more pressure. If you ever do get that spear back, you can put a lot of pressure onto this Gunner TA, and I can only assume that then this Enchantress can make that easy rotation mid, can put a little bit more pressure, and that's where if you're able to ignore the Broodmother until the Mars is ready, then I think Beast Coast can actually deal with this aggression. Like you said, that Rebuke, it just kills everything. If you're able to get maybe that level 3, level 4 a little bit sooner, you're going to see that Mars catapult forward net worth wise, and that's where maybe an early Blink Dagger is going to catch 4 Zoomers off guard. Where with this TA, you're picking TA with Eternal Envy on your team, something that we saw a little bit in the previous game. If those lanes didn't go as well as they did for Moo and the Lina, they would have been stepping on each other's toes. They would have been farming in the same vicinity. And Eternal Envy going for the Battle Fury, it ended up working out, but it's a little bit crazy. It's why we don't really see it. Even Ursas who don't have a good lane still going for that Diffusal Blade because the map does feel tiny if you have 3 people farming as much as they end up doing usually on 4 Zoomers. So I hope we see Eternal Envy on a less greedy hero, but at the end of the day, it's still Envy, so you never know what he's going to pull out.
Yeah, and he doesn't have last pick this time, so they're not going to be able to know whether or not that Mars is going to the mid lane or the off lane. I mean, there's not a lot of like great picks left in the pool, right? Like Faces Void counters out like the rest of your carries, right? Those things like the Juggernaut, the Spectre obviously would have been very nice. You could just go for the Wraith King, which I think is probably the most sensible pick here. It's good into Faces Void, it's good into Mars. Doesn't really care about Enchantress or the Hoodwink all that much. And Beast Coast, they'll probably pick Invoker. I mean, those would be like the most likely last 2 picks that we're going to see here. But whether or not Envy feels like playing Wraith King, who knows? We'll find out if he really wants to take the TA, for instance, and then we see a new Gunner hero.
Axe.
Okay.
Axe, okay.
And it makes sense, right? Because you don't have that playmaker in your offlaner anymore. You are slotting him into that Broodmother. And I did feel like they needed a sort of type of initiator, something that could actually go in. Because as of right now, everything would be on the back of Z-Freak on that Tusk if they did need to go in. I still am sort of thinking if is 4 Zoomers really going to have enough space around the map because now you have another very hard
Yeah.
stack taker. If Moo gets shut down by this Mars, which we both are kind of saying that if this Broodmother doesn't get very fast level 6, if she isn't able to get her farm and then deal with the Mars, then she is going to suffer. And that's where we've seen Moo in a couple of 4 Zoomers series. If he's not able to have a game, he really does rely on his teammates to carry the dead weight. But that's where you're going to see both the Accident and Tempo Assassin butt heads around those Ancients, as well as with their current lineup, they aren't really going to be able to contest Beast Coast at all if they do find a stack taker somewhere in this last pick here. And Razor,
Oh, that's
it's not
such a
the
good
best stack
pick.
taker, but versus this TA mid lane, that is the complete counter pick where now Gunner is going to have a awful time. This is the counter that we saw so much in China, especially versus Annie Major, where TA was getting first phase and then Razor was the immediate answer on that 8 slot. But now you get to overall last pick Razor into both core axe and mid TA. this is a little bit too good of a Razor game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's going to come down to, like you said, how they share the farm here between these two heroes. But if Envy doesn't completely pop off on the safe lane Axe, this Razor's just going to run them both over. There's going to be nothing that neither Gunnar or Envy can do if this Razor's running at you. And then at the end of the day, you still have a Phaseless Void with Chronosphere. So we'll see how it goes. I really love this last pick here from the side of Beast Coast. I think this is super sick. But at the end of the day, you know, what happens in lanes is going to probably end up deciding the fate of this game.
Yeah, and we do see Mariano now on that Hoodwink, so it won't be that Phosphor Enchantress that we saw maybe some of the CIS teams picking up a little bit more, which I'm a little sad to see. I do feel like in the 4 position, it just feels easier to play in your enemy team's jungle than it is to play in your own sometimes, especially when you want to make those early mid rotations. But Gunnar needs to be so careful. It is so easy for Beast Coast to send those heroes mid, and if you get caught off guard, you're already playing at a damage disadvantage. You're already playing versus the Razor. If they catch you farming that small camp, going for those runes, it's a really easy play for Beast Coast to make. Where now it's up to Z-Freak on the Forzoomer side to hold down the fort, and not starting Boots first, you're not going to see him run around the map that much. He needs to secure his spider while sapping as little XP as possible because of how important that level 6 timing is. So they are really hard pressed to execute hard in this early game.
Yeah, and the thing is like a lot of times I look at Keeper of the Light and you think, you know, there's going to be some hero that he wants to enable with the form of the chakra magic, but there really isn't this game. It's basically just spawn spiderlings. I mean, I guess you could argue Meld Strike, but like from an Axe, there's not that much of a benefit to giving him like a chakra magic mid-fight type of thing. Like you'll get a second call sooner, but that's not like the burst that you typically see out of these Keeper of the Lights.
And that's where I wonder if 4 Zoomers perhaps are drafting a little bit too reactively, and that's something that we heard about from Gunnar, where they're trying to figure out things, they're trying to click, and the Lena Tide was working fantastically, but now that they have to drop everything, go for a completely different idea, I just hope they haven't sort of put all of their eggs in one basket, where it is a very free brood game up until you have to deal with that Mars. It is going to be a decent Axe game until you have to deal with the Razor running at you. I think there are a lot of things that really need to go right for 4 Zoomers, where Beast Coast, if they just simply execute, I think they're going to be more successful.
All right, love to hear it. We're going to see the bounty runes just get drawn pretty evenly here. Envy on his Axe. I mean...
Oh, and look at this. They're tri-laning him, at least from the start. Whisper's alone bottom.
I imagine they're gonna TP the Enchantress down here eventually. Well, we'll see. I mean, Mars does do pretty well into the Broodmother. The only way you lose this lane is if you get caught out of position and you don't get to 6 before the Broodmother. If Broodmother beats you to level 6, you're gonna lose the lane. But as far as Mars goes, it's a pretty easy lane 1v1 for a while.
Oh, look at Envy. They baited him. He popped the Battle Hunger, and then Schofield was hiding in the trees to get the time dilation. That's a salve down.
Yeah. Economic damage for sure.
And that's where I wonder if Envy is going to say, what do we do now? Because Beast Coast are standing strong. He stole the creep wave bottom with Z-Freak, so if Z-Freak doesn't TP top, I think they're going to maintain the pressure from Beast Coast, and Husky forced got his TP forced, actually, as well.
He was going to pull the wave, but realized that if he, you know, went for that, he just dies. So, unlucky there from him, and as a result, Stinger managed to find himself a Satyr, which is one of the best creeps you can have at this point in the lane.
And
This
this
thing
is
does
where
a lot of damage, and he can get really aggressive, run this thing under the tower.
And it also just enables him to farm that little bit more, because you can actually finish off a lot of those small camps, and that's where you look at the top lane. We talk about the pairing. What are you doing? You're refreshing your Battle Hunger. There's not really a combo, and Husky's gonna need to be really breakneck with these Illuminates, because there could be a very strong dive coming forward, and they're keeping it. They're going to play this tri-lane, and it doesn't even need to be a tri-lane. Because of this Enchantress, you can very easily rotate to the jungle and not take that much XP from your Ko's here. This is going to really result in Eternal Envy not getting to farm a lot. I'm a little bit concerned because Whisper is not under very much pressure. With this Broodmother, you do sort of forfeit your early game, but this is a little too much, I think, for Eternal Envy to handle.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of this comes down to Whisper just not like dying once. If he's able to keep his health up and just sustain the lane until level 6, then you're in a really good position here on Beast Coast. And Envy top lane nearly dying once again here. They're just running this tomato at him. Luckily, Husky quite a bit faster, unable to get... Well,
Oh, wait, Husky.
he turns around,
Ooh.
misses the clap, but they will get the kill at the end of the day. And now Envy trying to walk his way back over, going to catch an enchant and a lot of damage as well. They do end up taking down Mars in the bottom lane, and that is the one thing we said can't happen here. And he's going to miss an entire wave.
Yeah, loses pretty much an entire wave and then some. In addition to that, lost his courier, and I think that's why the dive even happened, is just because Z-Freak caught wind of it and one-shot the courier. There's not much you can do about it at that point. It was also very clutch. He got a salve underneath the tower and was able to just barely survive on the spider with that insatiable hunger. And now Z-Freak able to TP top with almost level 3. Unfortunately, a little bit limited by his mana, and right now his courier is on the exact opposite side of the map, so maybe this rotation is coming in a little bit too early, but now you do have someone to chakra, someone to keep up. I just hope that it's not too little too late, because this Faceless Void is actually okay with this many heroes being in his lane because of how strong that time dilation is now.
Yeah, I'm a little worried for Mars in the bottom lane. I think at some point here, Moo will be able to find a kill onto Whisper here. He should be able to get a few. I think at level 5 he has kill threat onto the Mars, but we'll see. If Whisper is able to kind of play a little bit passively, he might be all right. He'd be in the mid lane, stealing 117 damage from Gunnar.
And fortunately for Gunnar, well, rather unfortunately, because of this matchup, you aren't able to get a lot of those denies. A lot of his last hits are coming from that small camp, but PP hasn't been able to punish him nearly as hard. I think a little bit strange coming out from PP, not opting for that bottle, instead going for this Wraith Band boots a little bit sooner. And because of that, and because of the action in the side lanes, Gunnar has actually not been too interrupted by the Stinger Enchantress, something that I thought we would actually see him get played upon just a little bit more, where because of the action, because of the lane setup, this TA is still getting prosecuted by this Razor just a little bit, but that's just the matchup, and Gunnar is honestly dealing with it quite well.
Yeah, as far as Envy goes, he's the one struggling quite a bit here in this safe lane. Schofield out-leveling him, out-CSing him, and he's just going to continue to be able to do that, mostly just because he can't actually get aggressive up on the lane with where the supports are. Stinger does end up going down, getting a little bit too aggressive up against this Tusk.
Yeah, and Envy, he does have a few stacks. He will be able to farm them up. He is Axe. Once he gets this Vanguard, everything does reset to 0, but you are giving a lot of space over to Schofield, and that's where we need to see him really pay dividends in his Chronospheres. And that's the nice thing about having both Faceless Void and the Mars. While they don't necessarily want to use their spells in conjunction with each other, you do always have a play to make across the map. Unfortunately, you don't have the easiest time. It's not like we have Snapfire, Faceless Void. Every time we have those cooldowns, we might not see a play happen, but you do have the opportunity always available to you. And that's where I really wish PP was walking away with his lane a little bit more here, but it seems like the stacking that was done by Husky and Z-Freak in the intermittent play where they can't do much top, so they're trying to get more out of the map, has really allowed Gunnar to stabilize. I don't think he's having nearly as bad of a time as they were really planning, and Z-Freak even finds the time to steal this haste rune underneath the Razor.
Yeah, I mean, Gunnar is top net worth despite having so many denies here on the Razor. And as a result, I mean, he's going to be able to clean up these stacks, even catapulting his net worth further and further ahead. The question is, will he be able to contest the enemy stacks as well? Because that's a really big thing. If he's able to get into the enemy jungle and take those stacks away from like a Razor who would want to take them, then you're feeling really strong. Bottom lane Whisper about to hit level 6, but Moo beat him there.
And that's where they wanted to bait so hard on that range creep, but now the pressure comes in, and Whisper, he doesn't have the HP, and here they go. They're going to go for the play anyway.
Yeah, they drop the arena. This is a lot of damage coming in. Z-Freak is here, though, to try and keep him alive, and he just turns around the spawn Spiderling. In comes the TP from PP, trying to chase down Moo. No ice shards, but he's too fast in his own webs. And he will survive at the end of the day. They did manage to take down Keeper of the Light, though, in the top lane.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there wasn't much he could do. It was just the dive coming in from more of those Enchantress creeps. Enchantress still feeling like the queen of the early game, the big reason why we see it so often and so highly valued. And with this creep, you do get to put a lot of pressure onto this top tier 1 tower, accelerate the game just that little bit, and breaking into the Axis jungle a little bit more. Unfortunately, no one else is able to come up here, punish Eternal Envy's TP, as he is still pretty weak without that Vanguard, but the whole goal here is keep this card alive. You see Envy trying to focus it down, but this tower is going to be more or less in deny range after the aggression coming out here. Stinger even going in for a few extra right clicks, just knowing he has the HP to work with, but we still have this problem that is going to be this Broodmother in the bottom lane, who at the same time doesn't have an opponent, doesn't have anyone to play versus her, and Whisper actually opting to max Spear before the God's Rebuke, meaning that if he didn't get those early levels in, we saw with that first death, he wasn't having the freest time. That God's Rebuke is not killing the spiders nearly as easily. That's why we see the Razor playing here, but this is giving more space over to Gunnar. The theme of the game right now is just Gunnar is not having as difficult a time as we really thought he would have from the outlook of the draft.
Yeah, during the time, though, they do manage to take top lane here on the Faceless Void. They're going to continue to play up here. And Faceless Void being this farmed, this uncontested is something you have to be very worried about. On his way to his Maelstrom, should have it fairly quickly. But look at Envy. He has really nowhere that he can farm right now because, like we talked about, in the draft, this TA and this Axe are going to constantly be fighting over the same areas of the map, over the same stacks in the jungle, and this is going to slow down this Axe's farm quite a bit. Chronosphere comes out. He is going to be able to just lock down Tusk, and one more bash. Gets it. Finds the kill there onto Z-Freak. And, yeah, Faceless Void, no real reason to hold the Chrono. It's a free kill. That's an injection of cash for himself. He's happy about that.
And that's where we will see Eternal Envy. He's got maybe 3 camps to his name, and getting that tower as early as they did, not having to play around the 10-minute cards. Unfortunately, using that Chrono does mean that these 10-minute cards are going to go to waste in the mid lane. I don't think anyone can really make that play just yet. Unfortunately, Mu was finally able to get this bottom tower, so now all of this area is going to be opened up to the 4-Zoomer side as long as Mu is able to play in sort of the cusp, doesn't get picked off by this Mars, and that's where Whisper really needs to step it up a little bit. If he's not able to make that sync-up play with the Razor, if they're too obvious with their rotations, there have been 2 times now where PP has made his way towards bottom and they're unable to kill that Spider. That is the space that Eternal Envy is going to need. That is the free time that if this Axe is able to get his Blink Dagger and his Manta Style in a decent amount of time, it's going to sync up pretty nicely. A lot of times with the safe lane Axe, if it goes too well, we do see his timings sort of collide with that 20-minute mark where the Ag Shard comes out so much later than everything else, and you don't really feel the strength of a 12k net worth Axe at 18 minutes, but we're not seeing that. He is actually pretty poor.
Yeah, that being said, though, this Mars is also really struggling. He does have the 4th point in Spear now, which does give him a lot of kill threat onto the Broodmother if it shows itself in the lane. But he still can't easily clear the spiders yet. He needs to get to that level 8, level 9. And until he, like, the thing is, they're just going to avoid him, right? There's no reason to play aggressive up on the Mars in the bottom lane once he hits that level 7 mark. You just do too much damage with the combo. And instead, mid lane, ooh, all of the spiders caught. Tornado nearly cleans up some of them, but Whisper TP's mid. Forcing the Mars here is a big deal. He would love to catch an arena, but it's not on the mark. Husky just too fast on the Grandpa. Tips come out, and he has to walk a shame back bottom, and Broodmother can now completely contest this lane without having to worry about it, really. No
And as
arena.
soon as you see the Mars bottom now, you immediately walk mid. You know that you are making this trip way faster than the Mars can, and now this tower Stinger is going to be under a little bit of threat here, and oh, the
No, he's
chunk.
just dead. Yes, he
He's not
doesn't have
level
level 6 yet. There's no chance.
And now this mid tower falls, and this is more space that you have to give over. Times like this, you do wonder if this Razor is not doing its job as intended, where one of the heroes I had in the back of my mind for Beast Coast was that Pangolier, where you have another hero that's fantastic at playing versus the Mars, where the Razor really doesn't cut it. And you're going to continue to see Beast Coast get outmaneuvered by this Broodmother just a little bit, and if Mu can keep this pressure up, every whiffed ulti is more space, and if we continue to see this TA and Broodmother play on the enemy side of the map, right now Beast Coast got none of their creep camps. All of their creep camps are getting farmed by their opponents. But they're making a plan
looking
to
at
end.
Envy top. He does have Chronosphere if he wants to drop it, and he might have to. He ends up catching Broodmother just on the edge. Bringing down Envy is the target, but he gets the Culling Blade. 2 procs right in a row, and now PP as well. Just gonna get chunked down by Moo. Stinger can't escape. We've already seen that one. A little bit of deja vu there as Bambi chased down by the Spider Queen. Now Whisper in trouble. There's the God's Rebuke. The server melting for just a moment. Drops the Arena Spear, keeping him alive though. Nice snowball save there from Z-Freak. We saw over and over again how good Z-Freak is on this Tusk as he cleans up a 4th hero here. And that is a pretty big disaster from Beast Coast. I mean, they had the chrono they could drop earlier in the fight, but waited, and it ended up resulting in Axe getting a good call, mitigating a ton of the damage. He managed to take down 4 as a result.
And this is where you are going to feel this matchup where Husky is going to be so obnoxious every single time. If he's not in that Chronosphere, he's going to throw the Solar Bind, he's going to throw out those blinding lights, and it's going to be difficult to find the burst damage. And even though your max movement speed, once we get to the point where Gunnar is actually able to DPS you in your own chrono, he's got a 14-minute Daedalus right now. This is going to open up so many avenues in mid. This is a 3v4.
It's the Z-Freak show, baby. This guy, he's ready to just go ham, and now PP has to run. Z-Freak cancels his TP instead. He just had such a sick play there. Like Moo tried to run the Spider Army, and they just get absolutely dumpstered by the Mars, but it was all just a bait as it set Z-Freak up for a great initiation there, and now PP gonna be forced to use the static link, and he's just in a really bad position himself, just constantly getting blasted here by this Keeper of the Light. Whisper still no arena available.
And this is where those heroes aren't adept at dealing with their Broodmother. This is why they picked it, even though it didn't feel great. You're just so far behind on this Mars where you can't deal with it. And I'm very surprised to see Whisper not go for that Orb of Corrosion. That's what feels like the item is. You need to get it versus the Broodmother because it tops you off damage-wise. You have finally enough to, I believe, one-shot the Spiders in God's Rebuke, but instead, you're really seeing him fall behind. And PP, he just wants to play Razor. He just wants to farm mid. But he's going to get chased down here. I think he is going to be fine because of the heavy rotations from his teammates, but you don't want to sit the Enchantress and the Hoodwink behind your guy all the time.
Yeah, you get the arena out onto the Broodmother. Snowball trying to connect. Not going to happen. Instead, Gunnar just oh, what a Psyblade from downtown. Very balanced indeed, as Gunnar will get that kill there.
Oh, no.
And this is all Broodmother, man. Like, Moo has completely enabled this team. Envy has finally been able to just free farm to his heart's content for the last, like, 5 to 6 minutes. And Gunnar now showing up to the fights. He has this Desolator. And another Mjolnir here picked up on Schofield. He's got to get out of here. Just doesn't time walk.
There's just not enough time, and it's just the backline playing so well from 4 Zoomers where the backline on Beast Coast isn't able to enable each other. We haven't seen that Chronosphere into the Hoodwink combo just yet. We're so low level on these supports on the Beast Coast side, and Gunnar very casually just gets to walk over to his opponent's side of the map, and okay, Stinger is alive just because he is that Enchantress, and Gunnar is going to get turned on.
Might have gotten baited here as he's just getting ran down by TA, and you know, Z-Freak comes in to try and help him, but it's not going to matter. The damage already stolen. 158 going the way of the Razor on the backside of the fight. Broodmother trying to find someone, but a nice stomp there. Envy showing up to the fight now, trying to get this kill onto the Razor, but there is an arena cooling down in just 3 seconds. Nice spear out from Whisper. PP still doing the damage. Can't get the kill, though, as Husky snipes him.
Moo, they have the chrono. He's finally here on Schofield, but
honestly, a lot of this game comes down to the first attempt at getting the like the first arena spear combo missing, just slowing down Mars's impact so much. Like, I actually just like can't understate how important it is that Mars like can test this Broodmother and be able to slow him down, but as a result, Broodmother has just taken over the entire map.
and that's where I really would have loved to see not the Razor. If we got the Pango, if you forced that Mars to maybe play mid versus Gunnar, I don't think that lane is really awful enough where, sure, you pick this Razor to really hard counter out that TA, but PP did not do enough, and I think with this tri-lane setup, even though they eventually did get the TPs that they wanted, we didn't feel this Enchantress mid at all. And now you see Gunnar just able to very easily take that Roshan, get the objective, stop playing around. Everyone's just dying in succession, going into the 4 Zoomer Spires, into their vision, and even Whisper now, he has this Blink Dagger, but unless he makes some sick plays in the next 3-4 minutes, I feel like they're going to continue to fall behind, because this is all time that Envy has done nothing. He has been playing completely on the other side of his team, and this is where your lineup that has 3 greedy heroes can work, because you're not just farming your own woods, you're farming the enemy's woods, you're farming their towers, you're farming the enemy heroes. It feels like a lineup that could have only been played with a lead, and 4 Zoomers are playing with it beautifully.
Yeah, exactly. There's one point where I noticed Envy and TA were both in different triangles farming at the exact same time. And that normally, like you said, couldn't happen unless they were able to get this much of a lead. And yeah, it ends up working out for them, which, you know, was kind of the genius of the draft. I guess them feeling confident enough to go for something like this. And Moo, like I said, a lot of it just comes back to the Broodmother. He has completely enabled this lineup. And as a result, TA can just play super aggressive. We've already seen Gunnar show up to a couple fights, just absolutely decimating these enemy heroes. They don't even need Envy. Like, they can close out this game 4v5 Envy, the insurance policy, really, if it gets there.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to show up late still. He wants to still make an appearance in these fights, and a big reason why this game has gone so smoothly is because Z-Freak, despite being the only playmaker on his team, has been making those plays every minute. He's been always in the right spot, in the right place, maybe getting a few more ticks of mana added into his pool because of that Shocker magic, but it feels like he's never without resources. He's always able to be around his teammates. I think the only time he maybe whiffed was whenever he tried to do that 6 snowball play minute. And if he hit with that snowball play, then he's the Tusk God. He's just the best player alive if he was able to get his teammate out of that arena. But it still didn't even matter. And this is where we're going to see 4 Zoomers situate themselves in the enemy triangle, not even make a break towards top. We don't even see Beast Coast going for the split push play. I think there's right now no good game.
That is a DDTA. Great blink by Whisper. You know, Mariano not going to be as lucky to escape, but they are just running at them one at a time here on the side of Zoomers.
And that's where we're going to see them fall behind. And a player to the
from
Aegis.
Whisper, more of a... Oh, Gunnar just goes in. He has the Aegis, but that first life is going to get baited here, most likely, as PP continuing the chase. In comes Moo as well. Buyback right away from the Hoodwink. The question with the arena, the rest of the damage, Gunnar's dead.
Yeah, he got way too far ahead of himself, really far away from Z-Freak, who wanted to play on this bottom side of the map. They wanted to swap it up because Moo was completely pushing in the top lane fine on his own. So a little bit of a throw there, especially because now without the Aegis, it is going to be a little bit harder to make that break into enemy high ground. So we might see them ease off the gas just a little bit here, but at the end of the day, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it does feel like for Zoomers, as soon as the TA is alive, the game plan doesn't change. You're still going to want to run at your opponents, but that gives an opportunity now where Schofield didn't want to show up to a fight with the Aegis carrier. Now we might see this Chronosphere actually land on another core, and if he's going to get enough damage to kill someone, if he can find those opportunities, we might actually see the game go, and Moo, he's the target.
Yeah, they got him, the combo coming through, and with all of that damage, I can't imagine he survives. Yeah. Great Chronosphere, great usage of the spells there to be able to find that kill on the backside. Envy gets the call, does find Stinger, takes him down pretty easily, and now Mariano in some trouble. Snowball forward from Z-Freak. No arena for a few seconds, and it might just be all the time that they need to disengage here on the side of 4 Zoomers, but PP goes in, gets the kill here on the Razor. He's got this Halberd, and he's got a static link. He wants to drop it, still waiting, I guess, for something. In comes Envy, he gets the call. Static Link finally is there. It's Whisper with the follow-up, the arena, but Gunnar, he's fine. They don't manage to find the kill. In comes Schofield with the time dilation, but it's all just slightly too late. Schofield now needs to leave, gets the call from Envy, and it doesn't look like he's gonna make it out. Gunnar on the backside, not gonna get caught from the snipe. And Envy continuing the chase, looking to take down another kill here onto the Hoodwink Gunnar. We'll say thank you, sir.
And PP, he had a good rundown, he had a good idea, but you run into 4Zoomers territory just a little bit. I don't think you chase past this ramp. If 4Zoomers want to fight high to low ground, then maybe you still take that engagement, but he even made the decision to pop his plasma field and static link, so he was 45 mana off of that halberd. There was no shot at that point, and you're playing into the Ag Shard. You're playing completely into the Axe's timing, and that all started off with Moo being dead. I understand that it is a 4v5, but you already used a lot of your spells. You didn't have any more damage coming from your Hoodwink, and I just don't know. In the look bottom, they got Whisper too.
Is just too dang good at Dota. Setting up a kill here, getting Envy to TP into the bottom lane, give him that free kill.
Now we see it reset.
Walking back mid.
They threw away that little lead that they got from using their Chronosphere in a pretty fantastic way, where now we're going to see 4Zoomers completely control the map yet again. And
Schofield caught by the Orchid, trying to heal himself up, but just getting bursted, I think. No, able to time walk away. Nice done, but it's the Will-O-Wisp holding him down, trying to escape Moo. Can't catch him quite yet. Time walks up onto the high ground, but in comes Envy. The blink call, finds the Razor. He finds Stinger as well. The question is, who's going to finish him off? Trying to make it up into the high ground and gets pushed right back down into Freak.
And now you don't have Glyph. You have already had to use it so many times. You're going to have it in 5 seconds here, but you're not killing this mid wave. Eternal Envy even says, hey, I want some creeps. I'm going to go top. Going to cut the wave, make sure we have even more opportunities. And Gunnar, yet again, I feel like we always say Gunnar's got a DD rune, and immediate snowball save. They're going to...
Oh, snowball them into a chrono. Not ideal. The question is, can Schofield get the rest of the damage out of Arena? Not going to do it as Gunnar just blinks out. You lose the Mars. Schofield managed to keep himself alive, which is a big deal. They've got to get this Will-O-Wisp down. And Envy just biding his time on the backside and trying to find who he can find the jump on, and it's going to be the Faceless Void, the more important target. And again with the side blades from Gunnar, my God.
They're just too disjointed here, and we're probably going to see the GGs pretty soon. PP, he's trying his best to kite out, but there's just too many sources of damage, and yeah, that's GG. What a clean game from 4Zoomers. What a fantastic play by Z-Freak. Z-Freak really put the team on his back for this one. Just really good.
Yeah, this was... I feel like all this game came down to how well they shut down this safe lane, or rather... not really safe lane Mars, but like the Mars versus the Broodmother. And then as soon as that tower falls, and then the Mist arenas just allowed Moo to just take over the whole map. And from there, what can you do? I mean, the game was fairly even, or if not even Beast Coast favored, I think, up until about the 10 to 15 minute mark. But as soon as that map shrunk, Beast Coast had nowhere to farm, nowhere to go. And Zoomers take themselves a 2-0, which is a really big deal for them, because that's going to put them, I believe, in a guaranteed position for the upper bracket.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they wanted, and we thought they were going to be draw coast. We thought they were going to be able to find the 1-1 here, but I think in the draft, they just got too greedy. They wanted to counter the Broodmother, they wanted to counter the TA, and really, I think the two big failings on their team was Whisper having that early death bottom and then unable to find any really substantial play, and PP, who didn't shut down this TA nearly as much. I almost feel like if they had more standard lane setups, if maybe they wanted just to lane it normally and then swap the Mars down whenever things kind of went awry, that would have been better, because we never felt supports mid. We never felt Gunnar really fall behind that Razor at all. And even though you can't contest those denies, you have the small camp. You have those opportunities. I don't think Beast Coast ever made rotations to that mid lane, not even trying to block up that small camp to delay the TA at all. I feel like 4Zoomers kind of got away with murder, and you look at the KDAs, none of their cores fed. It never really felt like, aside from that one crazy bing from Gunnar, they were under any danger.
Yeah, Gunnar was just getting, just feeling himself on that death for sure. But, I mean, overall, like you said, very clean game here from the Zoomers, closing it out 2-0. And we've got a lot more Dota coming your way. But for those of you who don't know, just want to give a big shout out to one of our sponsors, LootBet, of course, the title sponsor for the tournament. For those of you that don't know, you can head over to bts.gg/lootbet. And from there, you can get yourself a little cash influx of 200 euros for your first bet on the site. And from there, you can say thank you to LootBet for helping us out and giving you guys a little bit of extra fun to use. But before we go into our next series, which I believe, Yeah, Hokori and Furia. Okay, that's going to be sick. Do you have any final thoughts here, ET, before we throw it to a quick break?
I really just think now we got to look really closely at this four Zoomer squad. This is their 6th win in a row, I believe. They're really starting to pick up speed. Again, we talked with Gunnar yesterday saying that this is the team to watch out for in NA. He doesn't think that they're the best right now, but if they can continue to maintain this speed, maintain this level of play, they're going to be somebody to watch in these playoffs.
Right on, everyone. We'll see you in just a little bit. We'll be back here on Beyond the Summit for the Loop Bet Pro Series 7. Stay tuned.